Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today will be a double feature as we take a look at Star Wars The Black Series, Wrecker and Tech, both characters from the animated Bad Batch. Alright, so on our left we have Wrecker. It's a deluxe figure. As you can see, he's a big boy, comes in a much larger box. And on our right we have Tech. On the side of each box, we have some nice character artwork. It looks beautiful. And on the back, we have some short character bios. First off, we have Wrecker, the boisterous bruiser of the Bad Batch. Wrecker has brute strength that makes him capable of lifting a clone gunship without any help. His muscle and size are not only matched by his temper and an equality. Oh, god damn it. Alright, I'm not going to stop filming. I'm just going to keep on recording. His muscles and size are matched only by his temper and an equally pronounced sense of humor. Alright, for Tech. Tech is the computer and weapons specialist, the most talkative of the group. His genetically enhanced brain can puzzle through technical issues at speeds even faster than some droids. Okay, so we have more Bad Batch figures. In all honesty, as much as I love the show and I love the look of the Black Series figures, I'm kind of disappointed that these figures don't look like the cartoon models. This is a much more realistic take on the characters, which it looks awesome, but I don't know. I just want figures that are more true to form as they appear in the show. So I would have loved it if they looked actually like they do on the cartoon, and if they looked, more cartoony with the exaggerated proportions, the cartoony heads. But, I think most Black Series fans are a little bit older and they want stuff that looks, that it'd fit into their collection. And I don't know. I guess what I want isn't very reasonable. Okay, so let's take out Wrecker. Let's do a side-by-side review. I think it'll be fun that way. Since they're characters of different sizes, we could compare the scale. Okay, the one thing I do love that Hasbro does, even though they might do away with this in the future just because I think they're becoming more environmentally conscious, I love the fact that the characters, they're not tied down to the plastic trays. Instead, they just have these overlays which hold them in place. So that way I don't have to go snipping all those tiny plastic ties off the figures, which makes me crazy. I can't stand that. Alright, so first impressions of both figures while they're still in the tray. Let's take a look at Wrecker first. Let's get him focused under my camera. Yeah, Wrecker looks awesome. I gotta admit though, even though I would prefer a much more cartoony look, the one thing I do like about this face is that it kind of looks like actor and former WWE superstar Dave Bautista. It almost kind of looks like Drax. So it's awesome. You get lots of accessories. He's a bulky guy, so you also get his backpack, his helmet, his machete, and his clone blaster. Looks great. Nice detail. I love how the armor is battle damage. You see some scarring, some scratches. There's even a nice texture applied to it. One thing I'm really happy about is I love the way the elbow is kind of like where the elbow joint is. It kind of blends, not necessarily seamlessly, but there's a very clean look to it where the elbow joint is. I kind of like how the folds are integrated into the joints. Yeah, he looks great. Over here we have Tech. Let's get you into focus. You don't want to focus. Why don't you want to focus? All right, so we have Tech here. Now, Tech's kind of an oddity to me because of all the Bad Batch characters, he's the one that he looks least like Jango Fett. You know, all the clones, they're kind of clones of Jango Fett. And this one, for some reason, he deviates the most in terms of his facial features. Like, even though he has a different hair color, his flesh tone's a lot lighter, he just doesn't look like Jango Fett. But then again, that's the point of the Bad Batch. They're clones that are kind of like flawed genetically. You know, they're not perfect matches to Jango Fett, and there's something like wrong with them genetically. You know, they might be deficient in some ways or more advanced in others. This is a weird figure because his face kind of looks like, from certain angles, it almost looks like Woody Harrelson, especially with that hairline. Yeah, so if you ever envisioned Woody from Cheers appearing in Star Wars, you know, this might be how he looks. Love the helmet. It's one of those Clone Trooper Specialist helmets. Likewise, his armor is very specialist. It's not your standard Clone Trooper wear. He's kind of like the tech and communications expert. And his helmet just fell out. Alright, so let's get these guys out of their plastic trays and get started. I'm just going to leave the pistol in the tray. I don't want to lose it. Let's get the big boy out. Wrecker. Well, at the very least, I'll take out his machete. It looks kind of cool. I want to take a look at that. Alright, so let's get these guys in a nice neutral pose next to each other. And we can make it look like they're holding hands also, because, you know, they're good friends. Or they're best friends. Alright. Alright, so we have Wrecker on our left and Tech on our right. Great figures. As you can see, there's a difference in their size. Wrecker is the heavy of the Bad Batch. He's the bulk, he's the muscle. He's the one that's the loyal friend, but he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Tech, on the other hand, he's kind of like the analyst. He's the one that's always about the facts and the figures. And he's the serious one. So it's it's a good group of fellas. As you can see also that there's a difference in their color schemes. Wrecker, he has darker, it's almost like a gunmetal and gray clone armor versus Tech. Whereas Tech's armor, it's kind of like an off-white, borderline light gray. Tech is also, he has lots of pouches. So if you're a big fan of like characters with a lot of pouches, this is the way to go. He probably has all sorts of stuff in his utility belts. They both have backpacks. Tech has his communications array, as you can see right here, versus Wrecker. I'm guessing this is probably like heavy ordnance, maybe like mines and explosives, or additional ammo. Their helmets are different also. Let's get this into focus. Alright, it's not going to go into focus. Come on. Let's get... Yeah, so here's Tech's helmet. It's kind of weird. He's kind of like four-eyed. He has goggles, and then he has an additional visor, which also I think is dual-purposed as like maybe a rangefinder. With the Clone Specialist helmets, they have different earpieces. He has antenna arrays. His rebreather and his front snout kind of almost resembles like a biker scout. In terms of like Clone Trooper and Stormtrooper helmets, this one really deviates far. It doesn't look like your standard issue Trooper helmet. But then again, he's a specialist. Likewise, Wrecker's helmet is very, very different from everyone else's. He has like war paint on the front with fangs and teeth. There's these markings above, which I'm not really sure what they denote. I'm not sure if it's necessarily like kill markings or if it's some sort of clone designation. Yeah, this is a much more burly helmet. This looks like the kind of helmet that's going to take a lot of damage. And if he wants to headbutt things, I'm sure this is the way to go. Alright, so in terms of the figures, let's take a look at Wrecker first. Like I said, his portrait kind of reminds me of Dave Bautista. He has some scarring on his face. One of his pupils is completely whited out. Now what's interesting with this figure is he has a very unique smirk on his face. So when I always envision Wrecker, and as he appears on the show, not that he's kind of like dumb or stupid, but this kind of like smirk makes him look smarter than he is, if that makes any sense. This almost looks a little bit more on the devious side. I'd kind of appreciate more if he just kind of had like a dumb smile or something. Because he's almost like the man-child of the group. His armor, it's a bulky figure, so he has a little bit more weight on him. His armor is a lot thicker, as you can see from this profile. His chest comes out a lot. His back and shoulders are kind of flat, which is kind of surprising. And as I'm handling this piece here actually just floats around. So it seems like there's another torso underneath this one. But that allows the shoulder pieces to be separate. So when he rotates, you're not going to run into any issues of this, hindering the motion. He has different gauntlets compared to other clone troopers. It's almost kind of like finned out. He has burly gloves with guards on top. Lots of scarring and battle damage. Some paint flecking away. And then here's the sheath for his machete or knife. It's awesome. He has some pinstriping on his shins. And of course, he's a badass, so he has to have a skull on his shoulder. His backpack plugs in. What's interesting is it's not just a standard circle peg. Instead, it's kind of like a T-peg. And then there's a T-socket. So you can just plug it in like that. Yeah, solid figure. Let's see how he looks with his helmet. His helmet's a softer plastic, so it should fit onto his head pretty easy. It's a snug fit, so here we go. We have Wrecker all suited up, ready for battle. Yeah, so this is the heavy of the Bad Batch. Articulation-wise, his head rotates. Even with the helmet, he could kind of look down, look forward. His arms rotate. They go out. He has a cut. Oh, and there is no bicep cut. So what he does have is actually a elbow swivel, elbow bend, and it's pinless, so you don't see the pins. Wrist articulation. He has a cut below his breast line, which allows for swivel movement, and mine's clicking. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. He could tilt a little. There is no waist articulation. He can kick out about there and then go out about like this. His knees, I think they're double jointed. No, they might be only single jointed. He does have a thigh cut, so thigh swivel. Very clean look. You don't see the pins. And his ankles are articulated. So yeah, solid figure. If I had to rate this guy, I don't know, easy 9. Yeah, it's Wrecker. The only thing that's, like I said, the only thing that's holding me back from like giving this a perfect score is that You know, I would have liked it more if these figures actually looked like the computer models from the TV show. I'm not too keen on these guys looking realistic, but I understand the argument that, you know, if you're displaying this on your Black Series shelf, since like 95% of the Black Series figures are based off of realistic people and, you know, alien characters and models, you know, you want these to fit in naturally. But I would have liked it more if they looked like their CG counterparts. Alright, let's get to tech. Kind of looks like Woody Harrelson. Details nice, pinstriping on the front of his armor, some great highlights. It kind of has that battle-worn red. Again, this guy has a T-socket. Lots of padding, holsters, pouches. This guy's very functional. There's his face. His head rotates. He can look down about this much, look up. Much like Wrecker, he also is cut below the chest line. So you could swivel, tilt him a little. Arms rotate. And the nice thing is that the shoulder pads attached to his arm, they could go out, but the shoulder pads hitting the top of his chest armor. He does not have a bicep cut, but he does have a cut at the elbow, which allows for swivel and elbow bend, articulated wrists. No waist swivel. Legs could kick up and they could kick out. But depending on which leg you're moving, like this one, the pouch kind of gets in the way. Knees bend, also a pinless look, very clean. Knee swivel and ankles. Let's get this guy's helmet on. It's a nice fit. Oh, I didn't notice this earlier, but the visor actually goes down. That's cool. So if he's like in, you know, let's say that you're playing out a scenario and he's like in recon mode, you know, the visor comes down and he can scope out what's going on. T-peg, T-socket, plugs in. And then he has his communications backpack. And this guy is ready to go. If I had to rate this guy, also, much like Wrecker, probably an easy 9. You know, these are almost perfect figures in my opinion. It's like I said, I just wish they looked more like they did in the cartoon. You know, I actually want figures that look like the cartoon. And that's one thing I noticed also when I plugged in his backpack. At least for my figure, it's a snug fit, but it's not as tight as I'd like. It kind of falls out pretty easily. So that might be an issue. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Do I recommend these figures? If you're a fan of the Bad Batch, yes. It's a fun, cool show. I like it a lot. You know, they're rounding out the team. I think they've announced an Omega figure. I can't remember. But yeah, these are great figures. They're kind of hard to find, at least in my area. They've been out for a while. I've actually had these figures in my pile to review. They've been in my review pile for a couple of months now, but it's just now that I'm getting around to reviewing them. This one I think I found on Amazon a month or two ago. This one, I think I saw this guy recently at one of my Targets, and they had a bunch of them. So I'm not sure if this guy is going to eventually just like peg warm. So if you're on the hunt for this guy, just be patient. He might show up, you know, in the wild at your local Target. Alright, wrapping this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber viewer, thank you so much for your continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I will see you at the next one.